If I were an artist, I would paint trees and skylines all the time.
That's what you should do.
I'm writing.
You're right.
Um, I'm Ervena Wilson Faulkner, a native of Columbia, South Carolina, who has been in this area for over 60 years. I came here 1959 to teach 1 year, then go back to Columbia where there were buses and street lights, and I never went back. Um, I'm the daughter of John Irving and Annabelle Moore Wilson. Um, I'm from Columbia, South Carolina, a graduate of C.A. Johnson High School. In fact, the class of 1955 was the first complete product of that school. We went in that school when it was built in 1948, and we stayed as seventh graders. Um, Graduate of Allen University, um, did master's work at Atlanta University, but received my master's degree in the teaching of biology from Southern University. Went on to do some work at Boston College, the Citadel, and University of South Carolina. Knocked on the door twice to do postgraduate work at University of South Carolina, and decided that I did not want to do that, so I never got to the doctoral stage. I did a master's plus 30. I met, my husband was teaching at Robert Small's, the only school where he ever taught. And I met him. Robert Small's men sort of like St. Helena women, and they come up on weekends. And that's how I met him. We're the parents of 4 children. Our oldest, Tanya, will turn 60 next week. And then there's Tracy, who we call Dee Dee, then there's Billy, and then there's Chad. Those are my 4 children I birthed. But I have lots of children that I taught. So I have 2 sets of kids. Those I birthed and those I taught from St. Helena Island that are mine. They claim me and I claim them. I didn't live on St. Helena Island. The reason being, Mr. Dees, who was an industrial arts teacher, found property that Mr. Gaston had down on Ladies Island, 10 acres of land for us to purchase so we could live on Ladies Island. I would have loved to have lived on St. Helena Island, but my husband said he was not going to cross the bridge every day to go to work at Robert Small. And I said, well, I crossed the bridge. He said, that's your choice. I'm not going to do that. So we bought the property on Ladies Island, ended up selling it, and we bought land in Port Royal. So we resided in Port Royal for over 60 years. I had nothing on which to compare it with. I enjoyed growing up um, in my neighborhood. The neighborhood in which I grew up, Booker Washington Heights, was a parcel of acres that um, Booker T. Washington came and turned the first bit of soil for working class people to buy property. The property in town, when I say in town, that's where Allen University and Benedict College was. It's where the professional people, the doctors, the lawyers, and teachers, most teachers live there. But they got this parcel of land, and you had to take a test. And if you passed that test, and you were a working class man, you could buy property there. So my daddy bought property. This is a time when black people did not have bank accounts. So I remember having a little notepad, carrying it to Mr. King. He was, quote, the, I guess, the real estate agent. And Daddy paid him $20. I don't know if it was a month or what, but I know I carried it. And he'd sign in that book. You didn't get a receipt. Sign in that book until my daddy bought 2.5 lots there to build our house on Beaumont Avenue. And so that's where I grew up. Everybody knew everybody. Everybody, you were everybody's child. If you didn't go up the street saying good morning or good afternoon or whatever, by the time you got home, your parents knew that you did not speak to everybody on that street as you were trained to do so. So I was a neighborhood child and enjoyed being there. I was the only child, the only grandchild, and the only niece on both sides of the family for 10 years. My parents lost my sister and brother when I was 5 months old in a fire in which my grandmother and uncle, who had just graduated from high school, and aunt, who had just graduated from college, were burned up in that fire. So if I hear fire, I'm out of there. I don't try to save a thing. I was 5 months old, and the only reason I did not go to spend the night is that Mama told her sister, "You take the older two." My sister was 3, my brother was 2. Take the older two, I can keep the baby, and that was giving her a break. And they were supposed to come back the Sunday, but no telephone, so my aunt sent word to my parents that she would drop them off on her way to work that Monday morning. The fire was that Sunday night. Yeah. Um, I got my start teaching at St. Helena High School. I was hired to teach math, and then I taught biology, and um, principals at that time observed when you did not know they were observing. So my second year, I became um, class director for the 11th grade, which meant I had to put on the prom. And I worked with teachers, but I found out St. Helena teachers were loyal. Um, they taught school. It was it was a joy to come to work, um, joy to have your kids, and there's some kids who all they had was school, and I remember when they hadn't had experiences, and so I sort of not only blended in the teaching of for knowledge, but also of experiences. And I remember I, uh, we went to one house, and this lady gave all of us in that car a job okra and tomatoes. And I said, what's this all about? But then I found out that okra and tomatoes were grown here, and if they knew that you loved their kids, they love you. So around, I guess maybe October, November, I got this invitation to have dinner at one of my students' homes. And I was taught you don't eat at everybody's house. That was the rule from my upbringing. So I told Mr. France that I'd gotten this invitation. He said, "But you just got here." He said, "You must be teaching." I said, "Well," so it was Miss Rebecca Singleton, and her daughter was Vanetta. And so Mr. France said, "Yeah, you can go and have dinner." So we did. And now my mama was an excellent cook, but Miss Rebecca fried some chicken like I'd never had before. And I find that people here use paprika in frying it, and we didn't do that at home. So I had my first taste of red rice. Then after having dinner, she said, "I'm just going to give you a little ride around the island." She started on Seaside Road and named all the plantations along that way, all the way down to Land's End. And came up Land's End Road that way toward Penn. And when she got me, I was living on Meridian Road. She said, "Well, the children seem to like you. I hope you're gonna stay." I said, "Oh, I don't know." I said, "It's so dark here at night. I don't know if I'm gonna stay or not." Anyway, she said, "Well, we'd like for you to stay." And that was my first introduction really to the island. And then Mr. Francis, he and his wife owned a beach home on Singing Beach. And he'd carry us over there ever so often and have somebody fix shrimp salad for us. But see, I never had shrimp and crabs until I came here. I had oysters, but not shrimp and crabs. And he didn't do shrimp salad and do the pasta, but it was shrimp salad. It was shrimp salad with eggs. It was a salad based on shrimp. And he said, we want y'all to stay. And my girlfriend said, "This is only you." I said, "I don't know. I don't know if we're going to stay or not." But they almost begged you to stay. So that was my love of the island. I stayed in with my kids. And in the summer, that summer when I went back, I'd write to them and they'd write to me. And then, um, but prior to that, when we went to get our contract, he said, "All the mistakes you made this year, it's because of me." I said, "No." He said, "Yeah." He said, "But I want you back." He said, "But next year, whatever you do, you're on your own." I said, "Oh my gosh." But I came back and I kept coming back. So I stayed at St. Helena until integration. Um, I think it's so unfair that people who don't know the story and have the money could care less about the story. It's not about it's not about jobs. It's about if you have money, it's about making more money. Um, and what um, what I'm so proud about is that St. Helena Island people now know the meaning of having a voice. Um, Everything they've ever gotten on this island, they had to fight for, and it won't stop. Um, um, you have to fight to get what you have. You have to fight to keep what you have, and it's it will never end. We had to fight to get kids off to school. We had to fight to give them experiences. Um, we had to fight when integration came. That teachers did not come. Teachers who didn't look like us would not come, think they were on a vacation, and just not teach our kids. We had to fight principals who came this way who did not understand and thought they had to go page by page, sentence by sentence in the plan. And sometimes those plans would keep our kids behind. Um, um, we've had to fight for them to get good jobs. And we have to fight now that people will continue to teach and not use the island as a way of enjoying what they enjoy at at our expense, and that's a lot. Um, Everybody doesn't want to hear the story. Everybody doesn't want to know how it was when kids didn't have, and we had to provide pencils for them and paper for them. Um, Everybody doesn't know about how parents went to work at Paris Island and rode in the back of a truck and stood at the bridge to get a ride home. It hasn't been easy for them. And then some, when they rise above, forget. Then there's some of us who always remember. I want to keep the culture as it is, but also as you teach your culture, preserve your culture, but make sure that everybody play a part in that story. Any development will change. It will change who can be there and what they can do. Um, everybody, um, those who look like me, won't always be able to, can't always afford to buy a house or build a house on a gated community. Um, those who look like me won't always be the ones to get the jobs there because they're bringing their crew from their other friends, and it make it difficult for us. So how much we will profit from that is a story we don't know. We look around now and see how restaurants come in, and the people who work in there don't always look like us. Um, the people who do the electrical work and do the paintings, they don't look like us. People who do yard work, they don't look like us. They come in and then they move us back, and we are back, and we haven't all learned how to be entrepreneurs and get things done. We haven't all learned how to keep certain stores open. And you go in the grocery stores now, you don't see a lot of us in those jobs that are high-paying jobs. And this, and even now, with them not wanting to tell the story of us coming on the ships, they don't want to tell any story about us now in the history books because we didn't come here not knowing. They didn't bring us here just to save us from Africa. They brought us here because we had skills. And many times we've taught them the skills. Then after we teach them the skills and they don't want to use us. So that song that you fight on, you have to continue to fight. And as my daddy always said, we still gotta be 2 times as good. We gotta make sure that our children do and that they treasure our heritage and try to make a difference. I said we have to tell our story because we don't tell our story. Nobody's going to tell our story. The editor said, we want you to do a column." And I said, "Me?" He said, "Yes, we want you to do a column, and we need your pictures." So I went home and told my husband, the Beaver Gazette wants me to write a column for them. So when I first started, I did it, and then it was Grash's. And then the editor said, "I think we need to put you on payroll." And then they did, and then I wrote, and it was going quite well. We worked out a pay plan and everything, and I did it, and I decided maybe I need to tell stories about people, and so what happened, what caused me to do, and I began doing that, and I began taking pictures and doing stuff, and found out that the people who didn't look like me appreciated, at least they told me. I'm sure people who look like me appreciated it also, but they not always wanted to tell. And so I did that. And then for 22 years, I had that column. Yeah, I told the stories and put it together, and on my travels, I write about that and recipes from there, and share what I was doing, share with my kids. Um, shared a lot. She told a lot of stories, but I kept all my articles. Mama fixed, typical meal in Columbia, almost every house for a Sunday. I can't believe we have all this traffic coming this way. Was fried chicken, rice and gravy, potato salad, macaroni and cheese, and you always like had string beans. Well, I didn't. My taste buds, I don't like cheese, but you had to eat it whatever was on your plate. So, I didn't want cheese. So Daddy said one day, my nickname for my dad is Bright Eyes, and he said, Bright Eyes, open your mouth and close your eyes, and I did. I said, ooh. He said, Annabelle, don't make her eat it. Don't make her eat the macaroni and cheese. Say she doesn't like it. That happened, so I didn't have to eat the macaroni and cheese. Then there's another story. I had to learn how to make these, prior to the biscuits. I think I was 10 years old, and Mama decided I need to learn how to cook. Oh, but I love to play, play outside and read. And that meal for that day was going to be pork chops, rice and gravy, cabbage, cornbread. Simple, simple, simple menu. And I must have been in the kitchen all day. And Daddy came home, and Daddy said, who fixed this meal? And Mama said, Ervena. He said, well, Annabelle, why you didn't cook? He said, Ervena got to learn how to cook. I said, I don't have to cook. So the grits, we were taught when you do rice, every grain stands to itself. My rice was like grits, and the pork chops was too brown, and cabbage is never supposed to be brown, and Daddy said, this not even good for the dogs. And Mama said she has to learn. And I was in the kitchen all day from like 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And I said, well, I hope if it doesn't go well, I won't have to come back. Mama said, you're going to cook. Oh, my gosh. Then after that came the biscuits. And my mama fixed good biscuits. And so my thing was to do biscuits on a Saturday, every Saturday morning. And it'd be so hard. And Mama would laugh about them, and Daddy'd be trying to eat. And he said, come on, Bright Eyes, come on. They're getting better. They're getting better. So I can make good biscuits. So I would make biscuits, and so my children were born, and I still made biscuits. So my little cousins would come. So then Hungry Jacks came out. Oh, just pop that can and put those biscuits in. So they came down, and Daddy pulled me to the side. He said, Bright Eyes, where those biscuits come from you had today? I said, oh, Daddy, the best thing's out. I said, they're called Hungry Jacks. He said, you mean to tell me all that time I worked with you on making biscuits and you going to buy something out of the can? He said, no. I said, Daddy, children. He said, don't put your children through that. Don't make them like stuff from a can. So that stopped. So my little cousin would say, Cousin Ervena, your biscuits better than Hardee's, better than McDonald's, better than Burger King. So I can cook. So I tell my friends now, as we climb this aging ladder, cooking is art that keeps your mind. You got to remember what you put in there. You got to remember the temperature. You got to check it. Those are mind exercises. So I still cook. I baked cookies last week. I still cook because you got to remember, you can't go in the room to look for something. Oh my gosh, I left this on the stove. You got to be where it is, and then you got to share from your kitchen. So that's what I do.
It's like ritual.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, Rememory was my friend. Her friendliness, her sharing. If you became a friend of Verta Mae, you were her friend. I don't care what she'd see you walking in, and she'd holler at on the road, Ervena, that's you. And I said, who's that calling my name in the street? It'd be Verta Mae. Yeah, she was genuine.
And she
Yeah,
spent a lot of time here.
she did.
Yes.
Yeah, she did. She she enjoyed being here, and there's nothing she didn't want to share. She was really a good person once you knew her. Yeah. If you don't know your story, you can't tell your story. And I want people to realize, just like when Rebecca Simpson gave me that ride down, realize your your name and the people in your it was plantation in your community now. And if no everybody just trace their community, like that to the person who was tracing my ancestry, just find out who's who and what's what. And realize that everybody didn't come here to do rice. There are people who came here who could build a bateau. Mr. Mutri had a third grade education, but he could measure out and build a bateau. Just he just knew how to do it. He'd start off at the Heritage Days. He'd start off that morning, and they'd bring him what wood and all what he needed. By 5 o'clock, the bateau was made. He wasn't looking at a blueprint. He said, cut this way and cut it that way. And I said, oh, this is amazing. Mr. Cripp could take his tools and do a net.
Yes.
That's a mastery. My daddy taught himself how to first repair bicycles, and then he was getting old parts, and Daddy was making bicycles. He'd take his hand and do that line without even measuring. And he said, every family has an art. And I want you to know your mama can cook. I said, but I don't want to cook, but you need to cook because that's a part of you. And so he made me learn how to make biscuits. And I can do it. I don't want to do it all the times, but I know how. But every family has some part of their legacy they need to do. Um, when I came out of college, my great uncle said, "Come on up here to Fairfield County, and you get acre land. We'll build you a house, and you can teach us." I said, "I'm trying to get away from my people so I can grow up." Yeah, but everybody needs to tell their story and be proud of whatever it is. And that's the way that's preserving. It starts first with the family, and then they need to know what's what, and you need to know that for every dollar you make, save a dime and put it to good use.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. But sometimes those who are struggling don't have time to tell their story. So it takes the elders from that area to tell the story, because somebody has to tell the story. Not only must we pray for our next generation, we must try to teach them to get certain things done. And that's hard because their mindset's on a different level than what our mindset was on coming up. Just hope they will continue to pay their taxes and hold on to what they have for the next generation. And when it's all lost and everybody's going to want to come back to it, then you can't come back. So if you don't know the story, you can't tell the story.